So how many times have you read this, like, profound, potentially life-changing book, only to put it down on your nightstand and change absolutely nothing about your actual life?
Oh, I mean, constantly. We all do it.
Right. You get that immediate rush of inspiration.
Yeah.
You highlight a bunch of quotes, maybe buy a new journal.
Yeah, you feel like a completely new person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For about, what, 48 hours?
Huh.
And then nothing. You just drift right back into your old routines.
Well, it's because we consume self-help and philosophy almost entirely as a form of entertainment, to be honest.
Entertainment. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, we experience the emotional high of an insight. We get that dopamine rush of feeling like we've, unlocked some hidden secret to the universe.
Oh, totally. It feels so good in the moment.
It does. But we completely bypass the actual friction that's required to implement that insight into our behavior.
Because implementing it is hard work.
Exactly. The human brain, it loves the cheap thrill of a new idea, but it fiercely resists the caloric burn of, actually building a new habit.
And that specific frustration, that exact feeling, is the catalyst for our deep dive today.
Yes, the knowing-doing gap.
Right. So we are examining a really remarkable piece of source material today. It's a companion workbook created by someone named Tony.
Yeah, for a community called the Shelf Help Clubhouse.
Right, the Shelf Help Clubhouse. And this workbook was specifically designed to accompany Brianna Wiest's wildly popular book, 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think.
Which is a very dense, very heavy book.
It is. And the stated mission of this workbook, it isn't just to help you read the essays.
No, not at all.
It's this intricate, almost psychological framework. And it's designed to force readers to turn passive insight into concrete, real-world action.
Because the creator of this workbook, they clearly understand the limitations of human psychology.
Right. You can't just hand someone a list of 101 paradigm-shifting essays.
No, because that usually results in them just, skimming the text, feeling intellectually superior for an afternoon, and then, changing absolutely nothing.
So the workbook functions as a sort of disruption mechanism.
Exactly. It interrupts that passive consumption model right from the very first page.
Yeah, I noticed that. Before you could even dive into the philosophical deep end of Wiest's book, the workbook actually demands a confrontation.
It does. It really forces your hand.
It really does. It doesn't let you just crack open chapter 1. The pre-work section asks some incredibly pointed questions.
It forces you to sit down with a pen and really think.
Right. Answering things like, does the way I think right now actually serve me?
Which is a heavy question to start with.
Very heavy. And then it asks, do I feel any resistance to reading this book?
That's the crucial one right there.
And I found that second question deeply counterintuitive. I mean, why ask someone who just voluntarily bought a self-help book if they feel resistance to reading it?
Right. It seems weird.
Yeah, the purchase itself implies they want the help, doesn't it?
Well, consciously, yes. Consciously, the purchase means you want to improve your life. But subconsciously, the desire for change is actually interpreted as a threat.
Wait, really? A threat?
Yeah, because the human brain is this relentless efficiency engine, It's built to maintain homeostasis.
Oh, so it just wants to keep everything exactly the same.
Exactly. It prefers the devil it knows.
Wow.
Familiar misery is highly predictable, and predictability just requires way less energy than the unknown effort of transformation.
So even if your current situation is terrible, your brain is like, well, at least I know how to survive this.
Precisely. So by forcing the reader to explicitly articulate their resistance on paper, the workbook neutralizes the hidden power of that resistance.
You're dragging it out into the open.
Yes. You are dragging a subconscious fear, say, the fear of realizing you might be the toxic person in your relationships. You're dragging that into the conscious light.
Okay, so by doing that, you're preventing the brain from subtly sabotaging the reading process 3 weeks down the line.
Exactly. You're calling it out before it can trick you.
That actually sets up the next psychological hurdle perfectly. Because after that, you have to sign a formal accountability pledge.
Yeah, it gets very official.
It really does. You physically sign your name, you date it, and you establish a specific day and time that is dedicated to this learning process.
And you have to agree to a pretty harsh truth.
Right. The pledge makes you acknowledge this brutal truth in writing. It says, self-help books only work if I do too.
Which is so true.
It's almost like signing a prenuptial agreement with your future self.
A prenuptial agreement with your future self? I love that. That is an apt way to look at it.
Because you're looking it in when you're still excited.
Right, because the future you is going to be exhausted after a long day of work.
Oh, definitely.
The future you would much rather, doom scroll on a phone than interrogate their own toxic behavior.
For sure. So much easier.
So a pledge creates this psychological contract to bypass what behavioral economists call temporal discounting.
Temporal discounting. What's that?
It's our tendency to value present comfort over future benefits.
Oh, okay. So I'd rather watch TV right now than do the hard work that will make me happier next year.
Exactly. And the workbook doesn't rely solely on individual willpower to fight that either.
Right, because we know individual willpower is super fragile.
It's basically non-existent for most of us.
Yeah. So the schedule integrates community accountability. During the first live Zoom meetup, anyone who wants one gets assigned an accountability buddy.
Which completely shifts the dynamic.
It really does.
Yeah.
Why is that community aspect so powerful?
Well, think about it. Breaking a promise to yourself is a daily occurrence for most people. We rationalize it instantly.
I'll just start the diet tomorrow.
Exactly. But breaking a promise to a peer who is actively relying on you, that triggers an entirely different neurological response.
Because of guilt.
Guilt, yes, but also it leverages our innate social instincts. It's that evolutionary dread of losing face in front of the tribe.
Oh, wow. So you're taking that fear of social rejection and using it for good.
Right. It redirects that really powerful social anxiety toward a mechanism for personal growth.
Okay, so the reader is locked in. They've mapped out their resistance, they've signed the prenup, and they've enlisted a buddy.
They are ready to go.
Now they face the actual daunting task of processing 101 dense psychological essays.
Which is a lot of material.
It is a ton. And honestly, given all this intense preparation, I expected the workbook's daily pages to be incredibly complex.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
But the format is jarringly minimalist. I mean, for every single essay, there are literally only 2 blank sections provided on the page.
Just 2.
Yeah, the word insight with some blank lines and the word asikin with some blank lines.
And that's it.
That's it. And the creator even explicitly notes that she doesn't expect you to have an insight for all 101 essays. You just focus on the ones that actually speak to you.
Which takes a lot of the pressure off.
It does, but I have to push back on this approach a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
We are dealing with highly nuanced philosophy here. Doesn't boiling an entire deep essay down into a simple 2-step insight and action prompt run the risk of being way too simplistic?
It sounds simplistic, sure, but if you hand someone a blank journal and say, write your profound thoughts on these 101 essays, you induce immediate cognitive overload.
Oh, like a blank page paralysis.
Exactly. They will stare at that blank page, feel completely paralyzed by the pressure to write a dissertation, and ultimately, they'll write nothing.
So giving them too much freedom is actually counterproductive.
100%. By brutally restricting the output to just those 2 elements, insight and action, you eliminate the friction of deciding how to process the information.
Ah, I see. The structural limitation actually forces clarity of thought.
Yes. The limitation removes the excuse of not knowing where to start.
Right. You don't have to figure out a format. You just fill in the 2 boxes.
Furthermore, this 2-step prompt physically manifests the core theme of the entire reading experience.
How so?
Well, this brings us to Essay 12 in the book, which is titled The Knowing-Doing Gap, Why We Avoid Doing What's Best for Us, and How to Conquer Resistance for Good.
Oh, the knowing-doing gap. That's the exact reason all those books were just collecting dust on the nightstand.
Precisely. See, the brain categorizes knowing as semantic memory.
Semantic memory.
Yeah, it's just facts. It's cheap to store and requires absolutely no behavioral change.
Like knowing that exercise is good for you.
Right. But doing requires procedural memory and actual caloric output.
Which the brain hates.
So the workbook's format forces you to build a bridge across that gap every single day.
So if you only fill out the insight section, you haven't actually crossed the bridge.
Exactly. You are merely admiring the problem from a distance. The action section is what forces you to operationalize the philosophy.
Operationalize it. I love that. And I want to look at the material we are actually operationalizing.
Yeah, let's get into the content.
Because a system is only as good as the information you feed into it. If these essays were just generic platitudes, the workbook would be totally useless.
Right. If it was just like, think positive thoughts.
Exactly. But Brianna Wiest, she does not pull any punches.
No, she goes deep.
The workbook features a central quote from her that basically functions as the thesis for this entire endeavor.
It's a great quote.
I'm going to read it. She writes, everything is hard in some way. It's hard to be in the wrong relationship. It's hard to be in the right one. It's hard to be broke and miserable. It's hard to achieve your dreams. Everything is hard, but you choose your hard. You choose what's worth it. You don't choose whether or not you'll suffer, but you do choose what you want to suffer for.
It's so powerful because that concept completely dismantles the most pervasive illusion of modern life.
Which is what?
The belief that a pain-free, frictionless path actually exists if we can just, find the right life hack.
Oh, right. We're always looking for the easy way out.
And we expend immense amounts of energy trying to avoid discomfort.
Yeah.
But we fail to realize that the avoidance itself generates a different, often much more insidious kind of suffering.
Wow. So you are choosing your hard whether you realize it or not.
Exactly. And the essays walk the reader through some very uncomfortable applications of this.
Yeah, they do. Like, let's look at Essay 52. It's titled, Why We Subconsciously Love to Create Problems for Ourselves.
This is a tough one for people to swallow.
It is. I'm really stuck on this idea of manufacturing crises. I mean, I find that hard to believe.
Really?
Yeah. Nobody consciously wants to be stressed out about making rent or having a blowout argument with their partner. Are we seriously engineering these chaotic situations on purpose?
Consciously, no. Like you said, nobody writes down start a massive fight on their to-do list.
Right.
Subconsciously, however, the nervous system equates familiarity with safety.
Okay.
So if you grew up in a chaotic environment, or even if you've just spent the last decade operating in a state of high stress, chaos becomes your physiological baseline.
So your body gets used to the stress hormones.
Yes. So when things are finally peaceful, the brain interprets that quiet as suspicious.
It's like, uh-oh, what's wrong?
Exactly. It feels unfamiliar, and therefore it must be threatening. So you manufacture a problem.
You pick a fight.
You pick a fight. You procrastinate on a major deadline until the last minute.
Oh, I've definitely done that.
Right. And you do it because resolving that manufactured crisis provides a massive spike of dopamine.
Wow. So you are recreating the drama because the neurochemical cocktail of the drama feels like home.
You mailed it. It feels like home.
We're literally addicted to the stress cycle. We're choosing the hard of unnecessary drama because the hard of just sitting alone with our thoughts in a peaceful room is terrifying.
It is terrifying for a lot of people, and that dynamic is deeply connected to another major concept in the source material, which is found in Essay 10.
Right, the one about the upper limit.
Yeah, it deals with breaking your upper limit and how people hold themselves back from real happiness.
I really want to explore that mechanism because it sounds similar to the chaos thing. How exactly does an upper limit function in daily life?
Think of the upper limit as an internal psychological thermostat.
Okay, a thermostat.
We all have a subconscious set point for how much success, love, or happiness we believe we deserve, or even just what our nervous system can tolerate.
So we have a maximum capacity for feeling good.
Yes. So when we exceed that limit, say you get a massive promotion, or you enter a truly healthy, loving relationship, the thermostat detects that the temperature is too high.
It's getting too warm in here.
Right. And it triggers a subconscious sabotage protocol to drop the temperature back down to a comfortable, familiar level.
Oh, man. So we blow up the relationship or we sabotage the new job because evolving requires stepping into the unknown.
Exactly.
The brain would rather be safely miserable than vulnerably happy.
That is exactly it.
It makes perfect sense why this workbook requires an action plan then. You can't just passively read about your own self-sabotage and expect to suddenly change your thermostat.
No, reading about it just gives you the vocabulary to describe how you're ruining your own life.
Yeah, totally. And the workbook pushes this even further with Essay 77.
Yes, the identity of suffering.
Right, it asks, why do we value our suffering so much? And it suggests that we actually use our suffering as an identity.
Which is fascinating because stripping away someone's suffering often means stripping away their primary excuse for not reaching their potential.
Oh, that's heavy.
It is. If you are no longer the victim of your circumstances, you are suddenly entirely responsible for your own future.
And the prospect of that responsibility is paralyzing.
It's much easier to just say, well, the world is against me.
Which brings up a critical question about the actual ascetition line in the workbook.
Right. How do we bridge the gap?
Yeah, like how do you actually dismantle the identity of suffering on a random Tuesday morning? What does that action look like in practice?
It requires shrinking the massive philosophy down into a very small micro behavior.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's say your insight from Essay 77 is, I use my stressful job as a badge of honor to prove my worth.
Oh, the classic I'm so busy brag.
Exactly. Now, dismantling that identity doesn't mean quitting your job on Tuesday.
Right, that's not practical.
No. The action step might be, when my boss sends a vague, anxiety-inducing email today, I will not spend 45 minutes complaining about it to a coworker just to validate my suffering.
Oh, wow.
Instead, I will immediately send a one-sentence reply asking for clarification.
That is so specific.
Yes. You are literally severing the neurological reward loop of playing the victim.
You replace the familiar comfort of complaining with the uncomfortable friction of just problem solving.
Exactly. You're choosing a different hard.
That is incredibly practical. But honestly, facing your own manufactured drama and dismantling your identity step by step, that is heavy, exhausting work.
It's exhausting. People get burnt out on self-help very quickly because of this.
Which explains the final and perhaps most brilliant layer of the workbook's design.
The ecosystem.
Yes, the creator didn't just hand people these 101 heavy essays, give them a few blank lines and wish them luck.
No, she built a whole world around it.
She really did. The workbook maps out this holistic multimedia ecosystem spanning across July and August to basically support the reader through the psychological weight of this whole process.
Which is vital because engaging with this level of dense, self-reflective material in pure isolation often leads to rumination rather than actual revelation.
You just spin out in your own head.
Exactly. You end up trapped in the echo chamber of your own anxieties. So by introducing other mediums and communal experiences, the workbook provides the brain with different avenues to process the themes.
And the schedule is wild. It moves far beyond just reading quotas.
What kind of stuff do they have?
Well, they integrate these communal watch parties. And the diversity of the content is really striking.
Like what?
One week, the community is watching TED Talks by Yuval Noah Harari on the rise of humans and Dan Gilbert on the surprising science of happiness.
Okay, pretty standard intellectual stuff.
Right, but then a few weeks later, they are hosting a watch party for the Disney and Pixar movie Soul.
Oh.
Yeah. What is the mechanical benefit of mixing a children's animated movie with dense psychological journaling?
Well, it actually serves as a profound tool for cognitive synthesis.
Physicists.
Yeah. Analyzing text requires intense, focused attention, right? Which rapidly fatigues the prefrontal cortex.
Like a brain drain.
Exactly. But a narrative film like Pixar's Soul, which, by the way, explores incredibly deep themes of existential purpose, the danger of obsession, and the value of ordinary moments.
It's a surprisingly deep movie.
It is.
Yeah.
But because it's a story, it allows the brain to shift into a relaxed, associative state.
Oh, I see. You are dropping your intellectual defenses.
Precisely. When we read self-help, our critical faculty is hyperactive. We're constantly looking for reasons why the advice won't work for us.
Oh, sure. Like, that's easy for her to say she doesn't have my boss.
Exactly. But when we watch a narrative story, those defense mechanisms just lower.
Because it's just a movie.
Right. The themes slip past the subconscious resistance we discussed earlier. The conscious mind gets a break, while the subconscious mind continues integrating Brianna Wiest's philosophy through emotion and metaphor.
So you are internalizing the exact same lessons, but through a totally different neural pathway.
Yes, a much gentler pathway.
That's brilliant. And the ecosystem addresses more than just intellectual input, too.
Oh, yeah. What else is there?
The workbook includes supplementary wellness events. They bring in a natural lifestyle coach, Tony Riddle.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, for a session called How to Be More Human. And then later in the summer, there's a mindful moments session led by James Ingham.
See, this represents a really vital understanding of the mind-body connection and behavioral change.
Because it's not all just in our heads.
Right. You cannot expect to achieve a profound mental shift while neglecting the physical nervous system.
Which goes back to the homeostasis thing.
Exactly. The anxiety generated by confronting your upper limit, it doesn't just live in your thoughts. It lives in your body as cortisol and physical tension.
It's a physical reaction to a psychological threat.
Yes. So incorporating natural lifestyle coaching and mindfulness introduces somatic regulation.
Somatic regulation. What does that mean in practice?
It means practices that stimulate the vagus nerve,
Hmm?
like deep breathing or mindful movement. They send a biological signal to the brain that the body is actually safe.
So you're overriding the panic alarm.
Exactly. You have to physically teach your nervous system that it is safe to break the upper limit, that it is safe to let go of the chaos.
Wow.
The community is providing the somatic tools necessary to keep the body regulated while the mind undergoes this really heavy renovation.
There is a beautiful contrast here, honestly,
Yeah.
because Essay 78 in the book is titled, What You Find in Solitude.
Right.
And journaling your deepest flaws and uncovering your self-sabotage, that is an inherently isolating, solitary act.
Very solitary.
Yet the entire self-help framework is deeply social. You have the live Zoom meetups, the watch parties, the expert events.
It's a balance.
Yeah, you are finding yourself in solitude, but you are regulating your nervous system and healing in community.
And that communal scaffolding is meticulously designed to guide the reader toward the ultimate goal of the workbook,
Which is introduced in the final essay, Essay 101.
the concept of metanoia.
Yes, metanoia. The workbook highlights this explicitly. Metanoia is defined as a profound, fundamental change of mind, heart, self, or way of life.
It's a great word, because metanoia is fundamentally different from traditional learning.
How so? Isn't it just learning to be better?
Not really. Learning is acquiring a new tool to use within your existing reality.
Okay.
Metanoia is a structural collapse and rebuilding of reality itself.
Oh, wow. That's a huge distinction.
It is. When you experience metanoia, the lens through which you view the world literally shatters and is replaced.
That sounds intense.
It's very intense. The
Okay.
accountability pledges, the daily friction of writing down an action, the somatic regulation, the community support. None of this is just about reading a book.
It's a survival kit for change.
Yes. It is a support system built to catch you as your old reality collapses.
It's the difference between memorizing a map and actually packing up and moving to a new country.
That's a perfect analogy.
Which brings us to the core takeaway for you, the listener. The ultimate value of exploring this source material isn't just, learning the titles of some essays or understanding the mechanics of dopamine and upper limits.
It's about application.
Exactly. It's about adopting the underlying mindset of this entire framework. Information without application is just an intellectual hobby.
It's just trivia.
Right. If you are just consuming content, even really deep philosophical content without behavioral change, you are basically just entertaining yourself.
You're just choosing a very sophisticated form of procrastination.
Oh, that's brutal, but true. True learning requires the intention to change, the courage to map out your own subconscious resistance, and the relentless discipline to translate your insights into concrete Tuesday morning actions.
You have to transition from being a passive consumer of your own psychology to an active architect of your behavior.
You have to willingly choose your hard.
Exactly.
As we wrap up this deep dive, there is a final, provocative thought taken directly from the very end of the workbook's reflection and next step section.
This is my favorite part.
It's so good. After you've done all this agonizing internal work, after you've confronted your upper limit, dismantled your identity of suffering, and used this framework to fix your own life, the workbook executes this brilliant pivot.
It turns it outward.
Yes. It asks, how can you use what you have learned to make a positive change to somebody else's life?
Which is so refreshing because it challenges the pervasive self-centeredness of the modern self-help industry.
Yeah, it's not just about me, me, me.
Right. True metanoia shouldn't terminate at the boundary of your own ego.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when you heal your subconscious desire to manufacture drama, you start projecting that chaos onto your partner, your children, or your coworkers.
Oh, wow. Your healing impacts them.
Exactly. Your personal nervous system regulation becomes a calming resource for your entire community.
So think back to that profound book gathering dust on your nightstand. If you finally bridge the knowing-doing gap, that book stops being a paperweight and becomes a precision instrument.
It really does.
And your personal breakthrough might be the exact catalyst the people around you desperately need.
It's a ripple effect.
It absolutely is. And that is definitely something to keep in mind the next time you pick up a book, and promise yourself that this time it's actually going to change your life.